So today I'm going to make a little project in Zend Framework. The reason is, first of all, I want to compare how it can be done in Symfony and in Zend Framework. I work with both of them. I can say Symfony is far more advanced and has much more options. Like, for example, data storage configuration you can have in Symfony, all different kinds, but for Zend it's only PHP array. As far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong. So the reason I'm doing this is to document what I'm doing, because in years are passing, the time flies. That's why I would like to document whatever I'm doing, so I could see later what I was up to. And at the same time, I cannot have everything in my head. That's why it could be at some point a reference, so I could look back to remind myself some specific details. But it's really not likely, but I also assume this could happen. So if you don't like this video, please write in comment why you don't like that. If you just if you click dislike, then I just make this video private, not to annoy people. If it annoys, or if you really enjoy disliking videos, then go ahead. But otherwise, there is no point, because I don't really know what exactly was wrong with this one. Like the previous one had more dislikes than likes actually, and I couldn't figure out what exactly was the problem with that. So I'm going ahead and starting this little project. It's going to be with a database, but first video we'll start just to create a Zend bundles we have in Symfony, but here we have module. So I'm going to create a module, and then we'll connect it to the database.
So we go to the projects folder, then we install skeleton of the Zend framework with the composer. So just type composer, create project, Zend framework / skeleton application, and then I specify the folder where the new project will be created. It's course. So we need to wait when all the stuff is downloaded, because I don't have Git. It is downloading directly, otherwise it would clone Git repository. In any way, Git is probably the better option, but for this small thing I don't really want to have Git on my phone. That's why I don't really use Git right now. But normally on the PC, especially when you run Docker, it's better to have Git. As I say, on the Android phone, at this time I don't really need Git, even though I already used that before. So now this thing asks me, the installer asks me if I want to install minimum. I say no. Then it asks if I need all those components of Zend. Well, most of them I say yes. I don't really need caching now, and don't need logging, but the rest of the stuff like database support and different bells and whistles I really don't mind to have right now. So especially MVC testing support, even though in this one I'm not going to make testing, but it's really useful feature, because automatic testing allows us to being sure that we don't break anything in the meantime, so we can always run tests to see that everything still works. So now this thing is downloading all the stuff we selected. So the next step, it asks which config files would you like to inject, and I choose number 1, so it seems more or less standard way. So folder config where our modules .config.php file is. This is the file I'm going to modify to configure the module, for example for routing. Now I'm executing the web server, PHP web server, which will allow me to see if this thing works now. So I specify a port 6969. I'm going to go to localhost, and at this port our local website should be visible. And this is the standard Zend Framework front page. So I create now all the folders I need. We don't have automatic creator like in Symfony, where we can create bundle and all the folders are being generated. Here we do it manually, but this is not much to do actually. So we create the main folder for our bundle, which is in modules folder, and then we need inside of that folder a config, a source, and a view. Then I put controller and form and model to the source folder, and then I need to add a couple of folders into a view where all our views will be. So namely in the view we create the same folder with the same name as our module, and there is inside one more folder like that. So there is a very useful file manager, VFM, similar to V. I'm trying to use that, but now it doesn't launch for some reason in Termux. That's why I'm going to remove that. Yes, I can't really use that, unfortunately. With this thing I could really avoid writing too many commands, because I'm going to create a bunch of directories for the module, and VFM could really ease that, but I can do that without as well, which I'm going to do right now. So now I'm going to load config file. So I open up the, well, I create first the folder, then I go inside and I need to load the config file for the module. That's why I open the file called module php, in which I specify where the config file is. So all the configuration should be loaded from that file, and the configuration in Zend Framework is as a PHP array. And now we need to set up autoloader, because autoloader which I'm going to use is composer based, and then I need to add my module in there. So apart from application, this module should be loaded. So write course, and I forgot comma to separate those two items, so I just add comma real. Now I need to refresh the settings of the autoload. So I write composer dump autoload, which will refresh autoload settings. Now I can edit config file, which we loaded by module. This file is module.config.php. It just returns the PHP array of data we need for configuration. Here will be also the routing. I also need to hook my module into the Zend application. For that purpose I go to modules.config.php file of the whole application, which is in config folder, and there I need to specify that I have another module, so I just insert this one item. And now it's time to create a controller, which is the class which extends abstract action controller, and I want to add 4 methods in there. Methods in controller are called actions, so they are called by specific URLs. So we just we'll have specific URL for index, which is just the default URL of our module. Then we have add, edit, and delete. We're going to create also the routing later into module config PHP and put all the connections between actions, which we create in our controller right now, and URLs, which later will be causing this. We'll be calling these actions from our controller. So I go ahead and type course in URL to execute the controller, and I can see that I screwed up something here. So I go to line 21 to find what the problem is, and the problem is that I just forgot the quotation mark. That's why the syntax is off the. By the way, it's time to add the routing. So we go to our config file, which is module.config.php, located in config folder of our module, and there we need to add all the routing which we specify. So we need to input the controller, which is going to be executed by the URL course, and the control which we created. It's just the only control we have for this module. So for the routing, we specify route item in our array, which is using course as a controller. Well, as a URL item, it executes course actions from the controller. And interesting thing is here how we filter URL values, so the URLs which this control will process. We specify regular expression here that action might be any letter or number, and the ID which follows that after slash should be only number. So if you specify something else instead of the number, then it's going to be not routed that way, so we will see the message that. So finally we execute web server again to check if our routing works. So for the course, it executes the index. If we add action edit, then we see well, we didn't specify anything in the views, and so there is no difference, but another action is executed when we write edit, and if we write not the number as ID but something else, then we will see the message page not found.